Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming back. In this series, we'll be covering introduction to Python programming, and also we'll be looking at the Python programming itself in the continuing or in the upcoming sessions, whereby I'll teach you everything you need to know to get started with Python programming. But now, before we go there, let's look at the introduction to Python programming. I'm George Mutembe. I'm a software engineer, and I like Python. So the next thing is the topics that will be covered in this session, and the first topic is what is Python, and sorry for that repetition. That is what is Python, and the next thing is why should you learn Python programming. The following thing is learning Python programming and for beginners, and also how long does it take to learn Python programming. So let's get started by the first question. What is Python? And basically, we can say that Python is an interpreted high-level general purpose programming language. It is designed to emphasize especially on code reliability, and which is uses a significant addition. So you will basically be looking at how you can be able to code with Python, but we have said it is a interpreted high-level general purpose programming language. The next question is, why should I learn Python programming? Is because these days Python is one of the best programming languages outside there, and basically you can be able to do literally everything with the Python programming. For example, let's say you want to look at maybe AI, artificial intelligence. Python can be able to assist you to do that. You want to look at robotics, you can be able to do that using Python. You need to look at maybe data analysis. Python can be able to do that. Mobile programming, web programming. Let's come also look at automation of several work. It can be able to assist you so much to do that. That is the reason why you should be able to learn Python programming. These days, it is very difficult for a programmer or a developer to talk about programming languages without mentioning Python inside those programming languages. The next thing is learning Python and for beginners. So this is another question that you really need to ask yourself, not to ask yourself, but most of the beginners ask. So Python is basically mentioned, or it is basically considered among the easiest programming languages for beginners, especially the people who are starting programming and they have no experience before. For example, if you look at C++, it is not that friendly when it comes for beginners because it has very complex syntax and so on and so forth. So that's why Python is considered the most easy programming language to learn. Another thing is that Python is having very simple syntax that you can be able to have a look at. So in the next videos, we'll be looking at the syntax of Python, and you'll realize, by the way, it is very, very simple. How long does it take to learn Python for a beginner? So if you look at the internet, this is one of the most asked questions, especially by beginners. How long does it really take to learn Python programming? In this case, it depends with what do you mean, how long does it take to learn Python programming. For example, if you want to be that deep, you understand almost everything about Python, that means that it will take a little bit more time compared to the person who just wants to know the general concept of how Python programs are written, especially if you want maybe to go in deep learning, maybe machine learning, robotics. You will take a lot of time learning Python programming. But basically, to get started with the Python, you can take between a month to 2 months or even less compared to the time that you dedicate to learn Python programming. For example, a person who is taking maybe, let's say, 1 hour a day to learn Python, that means that this person will take much more time or much more time to learn Python programming compared to the person who is taking 4 hours a day to learn the same language. And therefore, it depends also with the time that you devote as an individual to learn Python programming. Another thing is also your experience. Have you ever been a programmer before? If you have been a programmer before, and maybe it doesn't mean that you have been that big programmer, no. Maybe you have written some simple HTML code, JavaScript code, maybe CSS code, and you want to learn Python programming. At least you have basically how programs work. You know, if you make a simple error, this is what will happen, compared to the person who is entering the world of programming for the first time. So basically, for beginners, it will take between 1 to 2 months to learn a simple syntax, simple programs and all that. But if you want to be that deep, it can take 6 months to 1 year to understand so many things. And also it can take a lot of time for you to be now the pro or the expert when it comes to Python programming. Another thing is that also it depends with how fast can you grab new concepts, especially for a beginner. And if you are that good in grabbing new concepts, it means that within a short period of time, you can be able to learn a lot. So basically, those are the few things that I wanted to have a look at before we start learning Python programming. And in the upcoming videos, we'll look at several other things. In the next session, we'll look at how you can be able to download, install, that is Python 3.10, and also VS Code on your machine. And without wasting much time, see you in the next video. Thank you.